Okay, so today we're going to talk about why you would slow down when you go outside and the reason why you want to slow down to be able to see more and to experience more. So oftentimes people, want to go outside. Most people are trying to go for a hike. And what happens is that they're they're so stuck in this fast-paced pattern in their day-to-day life, maybe having to get to places on time and kind of running around, and then they go out into nature because they know nature is good for them, but then they take in that same energy onto the trail. So you have people just kind of walking aimlessly. Maybe, yes, they're outside and they're on a trail, but they're just walking super, super fast to get somewhere. It's, oftentimes there's this goal of finishing a loop or getting to a summit or something like that, but it's fast. People are, they're still taking that same energy onto the trail. And when we teach about things like bird language or animal tracking, we try to tell people that we create these ripples of disturbance when we're outside. And so when you're walking on a trail at that speed with that energy, the animals are going to flee away from you much, much earlier than you actually think. And yeah, part of that journey is to understand how you create these ripples on a landscape so that you can experience and see more. Because, a lot of people want to go outside. They want to see the eagle. They want to see the rare species, find the rare mushrooms. They want to catch those, high valuable, rare moments outside that people can capture. But the piece that people don't talk about is that those people who capture that are often spending a lot of time outside. They're oftentimes maybe sitting or being still outside, and they're really slowing things down so that they become part of the landscape, so that the animals on the landscape then become so comfortable with their energy field that they get closer to them, so they get to see these things.
I guess a great way to do that is to barefoot walk. Because if you're barefoot walking and it's your first time, or you've only been doing it for a few years, depending on where you are in the ground cover or lack thereof, is going to dictate how fast you move. So by barefoot walking, you're not going to be speed walking like, we got to finish this 5K loop and go home.
Yeah, it forces you to slow down for sure. That's it.
Yeah, the rougher the terrain, the maybe pine needle sticks, you're going to go a lot slower than if you were to, have big hiking boots on that you could just stomp over everything and just speed walk to the summit, like you said.
Yeah, and also like slowing things down by foot, by just taking off your shoes, also helps you get into your senses. So when you slow down and you start getting into your senses, like here's another example. People go out into nature, right? Most people aren't going to be listening to stuff. I mean, you see it a lot that people have their AirPods or whatever in, or headphones in, but most people are not. They're going to be taking in the sounds, but are you actually taking in the sounds? Are you noticing the different songs and calls of the birds? Are you scanning the forest floor for mushrooms? We have to develop these lenses of awareness into your field, so when you slow down, you can pick it up. Because just say you're mountain biking, and there's nothing wrong with mountain biking, but I'm just using this as an example, almost a exaggerated example of how fast you're moving through a landscape. And how hard would it be to ID a mushroom if you're on a bike, like cruising down a trail? Super, super hard. I mean, I'm sure you could probably do it at some point. But if you're moving slowly, your body, your senses are able to take in the landscape so that you can then find these things and scan while you're walking. Because if you're moving faster, it's also harder to scan your surroundings. So actually a great place to practice this skill is while you're in a car. So if you're in a car, you're moving quite fast, and you can scan on both sides of the roads, check the trees for larger birds of prey that often do hang out on highways or, larger roads, can you scan the edges of the road to see, what landscape? Is it a pond? Is there a river? And start developing that skill of taking more information in while you're moving.
And I guess what your goal that you're going out there with, there's nothing wrong with going out with the goal of hiking a certain trail on a certain day, but sometimes going out there with the goal of just wandering. Maybe I want to find mushrooms today and just take as many pictures of many different mushrooms as I can, and maybe going out sometimes without action and oriented goal that requires you to keep a certain pace, because it could be the same with canoeing. If you're going canoeing a river, it's like, well, you got to be present because you're constantly moving, so you don't want to just take your eyes off what's ahead of you and then crash your canoe into the shoreline or a tree and tip over. So depending what you're doing, setting yourself up, if you want to build more awareness of what's out there, if you're looking for wild plants and stuff like that, you need to orient the time and the mood that you're going to be in. So if you're just wanting to take a brisk walk through nature and you're going to do a quick 5K, that's okay. But if what you're looking to do is ID plants or see animals, you're going to have to slow things down quite a bit.
Yeah, and sometimes that also means going out by yourself, or if you go out with a friend or your family, you can also go out in silence with other people. If you're going out with a dog, for example, you're going for a hike with your dog, just know that your dog will have impact on the landscape. But spending more time quiet allows you, again, to be more in your senses, because to hold a conversation, your attention is there. We all know that. So, just trying that out. And another piece to this is trying to expand the moments of time that you are outside. So, are you someone who only likes to go outside early mornings or, midday, because that's, you do your thing in the morning and then you get out for an afternoon hike? Then you're constantly seeing the landscape in that lighting at that time of day. And maybe, some people don't go out in winter and they stick to just like the green, comfortable days. But, do you go out at night? Have you ever looked at the stars in the middle of the night? Have you slept outside under, just in a sleeping bag and, no tent? Have you tried that? Have you walked in the rain, in a storm? So just expanding the times that, the times of day and the different weather patterns that you are outside, so that you can, again, take in more.
It's a great opportunity to find a sit spot. Be intentional with your sit spot.
Yeah, so the sit spot is a skill that we teach pretty much in all of our programs that are longer than a day. People develop a spot, and then we teach them how to cultivate practices to then expand their awareness, similar to what we're talking about. In this practice, it's called the sit spot. So you are going and you're physically staying still. In some ways, it's very much like a meditation, but rather than going inwards, I like to think of it of expanding outwards. So you're taking in a lot. So yeah, hopefully there's something there for you to integrate, to ask questions, to be curious about ways that you in your own life, when you go outside, can slow things down so that you can experience more, that you can see more when you're out in nature.